with that. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Midwest Gaming Classic 2021. First and foremost, thank you all for coming and supporting this great event, all these amazing vendors that are here. We are excited to see everybody here at the show. So seriously, thank all of you for coming and supporting such a wonderful event. For those who don't know who I am Gary Katzer. I host a YouTube channel called RoXolid Productions, RoXolid. We are actually streaming right now live on our channel right now. Next to me is Adam Stephy from One Up Cleaning Cards. And one of the things that we're going to talk to you about today is cleaning and maintaining your retro gaming collection between games themselves and the systems. If you want a closer look at what we're working on, we've got everything over on the TV here so that you can go ahead and see it. And you may hear me occasionally reference someone in our chat on the live stream right now. So we have Moxley Fan 21 who's in there. Thank you, Sean, for coming by. So what we're going to talk about today is cleaning and maintaining your games using these guys right here. These are called one-up cleaning cards, and if you were around in the 80s and early 90s, you may have seen Nintendo had these, many other manufacturers had these. These are designed to clean your cartridges unlike a traditional, like a Q-tip or cotton swab or something like that. These leave lint and other debris behind as you are cleaning, especially when you look at the way the pins are designed in the cartridges. We're going to show you the inside the cartridge here in just a little bit, because you may even find some hidden things that you never expected in a cartridge. Now, what we're going to show you here will work on Nintendo games, Super Nintendo. It'll work with import games like these. I actually bought here. This is Star Wars for the Famicom. This is a Tamiya racing game from Konami for the Famicom. And we also have Super RC Pro-Am here. So what we're going to do so you can kind of see everything that's going on here as well is we're actually going to open these up. And to do that, you need a special tool. These are called either game bits or security bits. They're either 3.8 or 4.3 millimeters, I think. Just go on to Amazon, eBay, CastlemaniaGames.com. They have these. Just search for GameBit. Well, I'm opening up Gyromite because I want to show you all something very special inside here. Adam, why don't you talk to everyone, because this is actually your product. I mean, this is not a paid-for thing, but I believe in the product. I use the product. These work great. What was kind of the idea behind coming up with the one-up card?
Okay, so this is a one-up card. And when I got back into cartridge gaming, I was surprised to find out that the predominant method for cleaning games was to dip a cotton swab into a huge bottle of rubbing alcohol. And that was about the best that was on the market. Now, back when the games came out originally, there were some original solutions by companies that made cleaning products, but not in 2017 when I got into it. So I developed this product to be a much more elegant and convenient and quick solution compared to the one-up card dipped into the big bottle of alcohol.
Q-tip.
Yeah.
You said one-up cleaning card.
Yeah, don't dip this in the bottle. Do you have the bottle of fluid?
I do.
So Gary's got the fluid, and what we use is 99% isopropyl alcohol. I recommend using the highest percentage alcohol that you can find. Just don't drink it. But typically, the other percentage, when you have a bottle of rubbing alcohol, like you can get 50%, 70% at the drugstore. Water is typically the other ingredient that's in the fluid. And so I thought, if we're going to be putting these on games and on equipment that's 30 years old, no sense in introducing more corrosion and more rust by putting additional water or moisture on the game. So hence the high level, the high content of the alcohol. And you just take a little bit of the alcohol in the bottle and drizzle it on the fluid pad of the card, and then it's off to the races. You got any games that are assembled still?
No, we're going to open these up just to show everyone. But so what the cleaning method that especially with these, you don't need to open them up like I'm doing here.
Right.
I just want to open these up so everyone can kind of see what's going on, especially because the Gyromite here has something special going on that we're going to talk about. So if you've never seen inside of a Nintendo game, this is basically what it is. And one of these chips is the game itself. The other is the onboard memory or the RAM. You've normally got some capacitors and resistors on here. But what we want to make sure is clean is this connector's edge right here. And whether you're talking about, again, NES, Super NES, Sega Master System, Atari 2600, before you put any game that you purchase into your system, clean it. I don't care where it came from.
Yes.
I have my own local store. I am, by the way, from Menominee Falls originally, class of 1995, even though I am stuck down in Illinois right now with all the fibs. But my local store that I have down there, I trust Adrian completely. He has good quality stuff. I still clean the games I get from him just to be on the safe side. So and this is why having a Q-tip or something like that is not a good idea, because if you see the slots between each of these pins here, you can actually have lint and fibers come off of this and get lodged between and cause further dirt, corrosion, interruption in signal. Now, there are some times where cleaning a game simply isn't good enough, and you have to do things like break out a soldering iron and remelt the solder to increase the conductivity. You have to remember, these were built in 83 through 92, I think was the last NES cartridge. So these have gone through a lot. They've gone through attics. They've gone through basements. They've gone through, being mishandled. They've gone through transports.
But most of all, they've had a lot of kids' mouths on them, blowing into them.
So now I have several of Adam's older cards here. We're going to show you one of the newer ones. This was the original card, and I've got a newer one here and an older one here. And what I want to show you is the fact, if you look, there's still a lot of dirt and crud on this one. That's fine. You can use these over and over and over again. You can get a couple hundred uses out of these, and that's one of the reasons why I love them. Now, I mentioned, too, that I did buy 2 Famicom games here at the show. One of the reasons why this copy of Gyromite is so special is early in the days of the NES, Nintendo was not sure how things were going to work here in the U.S. That is why some of the original games had an adapter inside, and literally all that it is doing is changing the Famicom cartridge to fit inside of a Nintendo system.
Is it the number of pins that's different?
It is the number of pins. There's also some security issues as well. So on this, so again, this is Gyromite. This is just an adapter. This is the game. You've got the plastic piece here, and then you've got your adapter here that'll basically, you may have heard of something called a 60 to 72 pin adapter. The reason for that, Famicom games had 60 pins on it, the NES had 72. And as you can see, they are directional, and I was dumb and didn't realize which side I pull out of which, so I may have put Gyromite back in upside down. But one of the things with Gyromite is the fact that it does have this adapter in here. If you do want to be able to play Famicom games on your North American NES, you can do so. Companies now produce these adapters, but you can get a copy of Gyromite for like $5 now. So you can open up, pull out the adapter, and then this will work in your NES.
Clever.
Now, to clean your system, there are a couple different ways you can do it. What I recommend first is that you just use the 1-Up cleaning card to do a buff. Now, one of the things you want to make sure, too, these pins, you've got oil on your fingers and your hands and things along those lines. Don't do this. Don't touch the pins, especially after you've cleaned them, because you'll have to clean them again.
Especially after your cheeseburger.
Cheese. So all that you need is there's a fluid side and a dry side on here. And you just put a little bit on one side, and you just run it back and forth. This is very similar to what manufacturers were putting out in the 80s and 90s to clean the games. They don't produce them anymore.
They stopped, and I said, hey, we can keep this going. We need to keep it going.
So very simple, very easy. One thing I will say, too, since this is IPA, isopropyl alcohol, do this in a well-ventilated area. That way you avoid getting like headaches and nauseous and things along those lines.
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
No, we don't condone that. We've got JLove81 over here. Make sure you subscribe to her on YouTube as well. One of the most positive channels you will find out there. Now, you also have a dry side here on the card. So basically all that I'm doing is I'm removing any residue on the back side, and at this point I could throw this in the system and test it out. Now, there are some times where this is not good enough, and many people over the years have tried different sorts of solutions to clean pins on video games. One of the popular ones for a long time was a product that many of you probably heard of called Brasso. It is a metal polisher. Don't use Brasso. Just throwing that out there. Now, if you're using Brasso, it's generally because you've gotten to a point, you would say, what, about 80% of games, just by running a one-up card, you'll be able to clean it out, right?
For sure.
So if a game needs something that toxic or that harsh, it's already not working if you're already to that point. So Brasso tends to strip off a lot of the metal on the pins, which effectively reduces its overall life. It also tends to leave a white residue behind on the pins if you're not very diligent on cleaning them. So a number of years ago, like I mentioned, I'm originally from the area here. If anyone is familiar with Trackside Hobbies out in Brookfield, 124th and Burleigh, I've raced RC cars for over 30 years in the area. We came up with a motor cleaner to clean the electric motors in there, or we found one called Bright Boy. We actually found it at Restoration Hardware in Mayfair. I don't know if that's still there or not. And that's essentially what's in this bottle here. Now, as you can see, it's actually separated its two components. It is a non-abrasive, but it is a polish. So you have your carrier, essentially, and you have the cleaner. So you got to shake that up just to kind of disperse that around. Adam, you don't look like you know what to do with your hands right now. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's the advantage of one-up card fluid. No shaking necessary.
There is no shaking. But this is for when the one-up card doesn't work. And one thing I will say is the chemical in here does attack the glue and the fibers on this, so don't use this on a one-up card. Just stick with the IPA, you'll be just fine. For this, you can use just a cotton swab or Q-tip. Put just a little bit either on your swab. Use a little bit. There we go.
Little dab will do ya.
And all that you're going to do is you're just going to run a little bit across the pins. Now, the way this works best, and
are you going to do a before and after glistening comparison?
I am, so you can kind of see the blackness that's on there. And I think I had already cleaned this game too. So, and I don't know if he's hanging up behind me right now or not, but our good friend John Riggs, who has a panel at 4 o'clock, make sure you come back and check him out. He has a great analogy for this process. It's essentially like resurfacing a disc on your, like a DVD or a CD or something like that. You can do it once or twice and you're fine, but if you do it too many times, you're actually going to ruin the disc itself. Now, once we've got the Bright Boy spread apart on there, or across there, flip it back over, and initially just take the other side of the cotton swab and wipe it off. And again, you can see the gunk that's built up, and that's just from one light pass. Now, I generally don't Bright Boy a game right out of the box. I will one-up card it when I clean it, when I get a new one. But then if it doesn't play, I mean, look at that gunk. This is what we're trying to keep out of your systems. Mm-hmm. And what basically, if you have an issue where you have, I mean, that's gross. Especially if you have, I found homes where people were smokers and things along those lines. Those tend to be the absolute worst. But we're going to grab our one-up card again. Now, what I do before I put everything back together is I go ahead and I'll hit it again with this just to get any residual Bright Boy off of this and to get any extra dirt off, too. So we're just going to do a couple passes there.
It's going to be so clean.
It's so fresh and clean.
That's good, Gary. That's enough of that.
Yes, okay. There's a reason why I have a face for radio. So now, if you take a look, and again, due to the lighting, it's a little bit challenging, and I'm making sure I have my finger under the pins and not on the pins. You can see the shininess that you have off of the pins and not off of my forehead.
Both sparkly.
And at this point, this game is ready to reassemble and then put back into the system as well. Now, let's say, for example, that you have an NES, a Super NES, a Super Famicom, I think you do, Sega Genesis, Sega Master System?
Not yet.
Not yet. So, in addition to cleaning your games, you also want to clean your systems. And what I want to do, so I have, this is an old Super NES one that I have. I don't know if those will show up or not. If you look at the edge connector there, you see the black that's in there. That is actually cleaned out of my system. I don't know if there's an easy way to pop that open.
This one pops open,
okay.
But the new and improved version is screwed together.
There you go.
It's all the magic. It's all the magic right there.
So if you take a look, you can see the edge of that connector down here. That's all crap, crud, and corrosion that I've pulled, this 3 C's I call it, crap, crud, and corrosion, that I've pulled out of my systems. Now, this, if you see, only has 1 strip across for just the center pins. The new ones have actually been updated, where it actually, on some games, it had the 3 conductors in there.
Like Star Fox.
Yes, Chronos, this is live. So this will go ahead and clean all the connectors across your entire system. Now, with this, the nice thing is you don't use any fluid, no solution. You just insert it and remove it several times out of your system. And for something like this here, the dirt that's built up, after I'm done cleaning the system, I'll go ahead and just use some paper towel or something with some of the alcohol. I drew a blank there. Alcohol is a tough word to remember. And just use that to clean that edge off of there. I've seen other people use Windex or other solvents. It's not designed for use on electronics. Just keep it out of there as much as possible. Now, in addition to the NES games and the Super NES games, which use a very similar style for cleaning and maintenance, for Game Boy games, and Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, this card will not fit in there.
Only at an angle, but it's not ideal.
So there's even the mini cards, and these are awesome. I use these not just on my Game Boy games, but on N64 games. If you've ever tried to clean those, it's a much narrower pin than what an NES, a Genesis, or a Super NES has. So being able to get in there and actually get wider swaths back and forth to clean, these are super convenient to have, and they'll work on anything. I mean, that's the advantage of the mini card, the mini cleaning card, is that you can really use it on any cartridge game. So in my opinion, it's actually more versatile than the larger size cards, but they both have their strengths. I am going to go through the couple of games that I bought here at the show, just to kind of give you an example. I put out a directive to a couple people that were here with us. It's like, find me the dirtiest games you could find. And thankfully, everything looked really clean, which is a testament to everyone here. And again, thank you all for coming to Midwest Gaming Classic 2021. Everybody here greatly appreciates it. So, and again, there's another panel after this, and one after that, and one after that. More panels tomorrow, too. And because Aaron Rodgers is not playing tomorrow, no reason to watch the Packer game. Come here again tomorrow, too. So, I'm not a Packer fan. What can I say? But I am mad that Corbin Burns did not start Game 4. I will say that. So, we are going to use the 1-Up Cleaning Card Mini on our Famicom game here. And I don't know if you saw, but I did just put some of the solution on it. Just running it back and forth. Hello again. We are live on YouTube right now at youtube.com/RoXolid, RoXolid Productions. You can kind of see the dirt that we pull out there on the first pass. Now we're going to dry that off. And
You're
now
doing
this
that
is
so well.
I've done it a bunch. It's convenient.
You're
it's
good
easy.
at it.
Well, it's one of the things, it's simple maintenance that will help protect your games, your collection, because I don't know if anyone's noticed, but prices of everything is going up right now, including retro game prices. So being able to make sure that your games last year after year after year and work as well today as they do tomorrow as the day after, it's important, especially with cartridge-based games where the hardware is pretty bulletproof. It's the software, the cartridges, that you need to worry about. So that is how you would clean this one. Now, this one here, this is an interesting title because we actually got Star Wars here in the US for the NES, and it was good. And we got Super Star Wars for the Super NES, and that was great. We didn't get this version here. This, again, I bought here on the floor. The one thing with Famicom games is, unlike an NES game or a Super NES game, it uses a pressure fit to keep the cartridge together. So if I were to try just to pry this open, I'd destroy the outside of the cartridge. You can use like a clamp from Harbor Freight or a Menards or any of the home supply store, and if you actually squeeze the back half, it'll squeeze the tabs in, and then you can actually lift this apart.
But don't be surprised if you have broken tabs on the table afterwards.
But we're going to do the same thing here, and the nice thing, I've already got this with the cleaning solution on it, and we are going to Clean this side of the Star Wars one. Yeah, in the first level of this game, you actually fight Darth Vader on Tatooine, and he turns into a scorpion.
Just like the movies.
Yeah, completely like the movies. Now, if you take a look, again, you can see how much dirt that I pulled out of here. I'm going to Bright Boy this right now. And the nice thing, it doesn't come in these containers. This is actually something they come in like a...
They're big.
Yeah, it's like a gallon bottle. So I just bought this at either Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something like that. They're a couple bucks to get a pack of 8. So, and the nice thing about this, I can just dunk the cotton swab in there too. And we're just going to run it back and forth on the top.
You're going to get a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, how gross do you think this is going to be?
Totally covered.
Yeesh. Now, and I just used, this is not not knocking the one-up cards because I love them, they work well. This is what's still on there, and you all saw me just clean this. So we're going to dunk the other side. We're going to do the back side of the pen.
Then we'll do your ears and nostrils after that.
But I thought you were going to braid my nose hair for me. I was looking forward to that. Dang it.
You've been growing it out?
I have. So yeah, this is really disgusting. So that's the back side of the pins. So this is one of those things you're trying to keep your systems as clean as possible for as long as possible. So this is all prevented from going inside of my my Famicom system that I have at home. For those who are interested, you can actually play a Famicom on a US television. You have to tune it to like channel 94, 95, 96, but the voltage that we have here is just fine. It's within the spec tolerance and everything. You won't have any issues. I'm going to refresh our one-up cleaning card here with just a little bit more solution. Clean that off. And all that I'm doing on this is I'm cleaning off any residual Bright Boy cleaner that was on here. And where I said that you don't want to use Bright Boy right on the cards, there's not enough left on the pins that it'll attack the pad and it'll attack the glue. But it is one of those things that, you say not to use Bright Boy with these cards. That's one of those instances where it's okay to get a little bit on there.
You want to practice clean gaming. And clean gaming takes 2 partners, a clean cartridge and a clean console. So if you're not hitting both sides of that, then it's you're perpetuating the dirt and grime.
And the nice thing, too, I've heard, now I haven't done it myself, and maybe you can kind of talk about this. I've heard people just using like dish soap to clean the pads if they've gotten really, really dirty.
Yeah, but even when they get kind of gnarly, they're still pulling stuff off of the game contacts and pulling it into the felt.
Yeah. So and one of the cool things too that Adam done as well. So I have my YouTube channel and everything. He can actually do custom artwork. So let's say that you're a huge fan of Super Mario World. You could probably put Mario on here or something.
Maybe. I'd have to talk to Nintendo about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's licensing agreements.
But I can use your logo, no problem.
Yes. So he can do custom cards. He's also done custom cards. If you've ever heard of a small YouTuber called the Angry Video Game Nerd, I think he's called. They've got collector sets and whatnot that he has available as well. But after a while, I mean, these don't last forever. I think it's 3 for $10, roughly, something like that. They do wear out and they get fuzz and whatnot on here, so you want to replace these every once in a while. But the good thing is it's not something that you have to constantly sink money into time after time.
They're very reusable.
So, and now I'm just going to run the swab, no cleaning solution, just to see if we get any more out of here, because we've cleaned both sides of the pins. I'm still getting a little bit out, but nowhere near. This is something I would feel absolutely comfortable putting in any of my systems without a problem.
And if you store the game well, then you're not going to have to use Bright Boy again.
Correct.
Forever.
And that's one of those things that, I mean, you can get we probably those of you out there remember these from the 80s, the cartridge edge connector or the protector for the Super NES. I mean, there's ones, you can get 3D printable files now too and whatnot. So protect your games the best that you can.
It's preserving a legacy.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is.
Because that way it'll help. I mean, even simple things like the Game Boy had these great cases too. I mean, Sega, I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but Sega did it right with the Genesis and the Master System with those wonderful plastic clamshell cases and everything that you can go ahead and store your games. I mean, that's...
You mean the paper box that Nintendo used?
Yes.
The paper box.
I mean, the thing to remember is proper preparation prevents poor performance.
That's a lot of P's,
That
man.
is a lot of P's.
That's all of them.
But that's prevention is the easiest cure. You know, an ounce in prevention is worth a pound of cure. But these steps can be used on pretty much any cartridge that you have. It can be used on Atari 2600. It can be used on what am I thinking of? The Vectrex. It can be used on a Nintendo, on a Master System. Pretty much any cartridge, you can use these steps to go ahead and clean and maintain and make sure that your collection is staying healthy, it's staying clean, and that you're not contaminating your pins so that you can play your games today, tomorrow, and into the future.
You know it, buddy.
It's like I've done this once or twice.
Yeah, but
So-
we recommend starting out with one-up card. Just use that, and it really does most of the time what you need it to do.
And don't touch the pins after you've cleaned them like I just did there.
Looks like a Game Genie connector.
Yeah, it kind of is. And that's what some people have used too, is Game Genies to get around some of the region locks as well. With like, especially playing Super Famicom on a Super Nintendo, for example. I did have that in backwards, so I'm glad that I checked that out. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that you really, when you're at something like this, make sure you clean your games before you put them in your systems, regardless, even if it's someone that you trust as far as a seller, retailer, a friend, anything along those lines, just to make sure that you are not spreading dirt around as you go. Adam, did you have anything else to kind of add?
All the one-up card products are on Amazon. That's probably the best place to get it. Easiest place to buy is just Amazon for the one-up console and game cartridge cleaners.
So if anyone out there has got any questions, we'll be kind of hanging out for a little bit. But that is essentially how you can clean and maintain your cartridge-based collection and keep your games moving and playing and beeping and booping and making the pew-pew-pew sounds and so on and so forth.
Keep
Even
passing
when
it
it's
on.
a bad game like Ghostbusters 2.
I love Ghostbusters 2.
It's-
Anyone want to play that with me? I'd play it.
Ghostbusters
Yeah.
2 is terrible.
Yeah.
The one for the Master System is wonderful.
It takes a lot of skill. That's the thing, is it took a long time to develop the skill for Ghostbusters 2. A lot of hours.
Oh, and one other thing too. So these tools that I use to take the cartridges open, I highly recommend if you're going to buy expensive or rare games. And I don't mean from Rare the publisher. I mean rare as far as uncommon. Pick a set of these up and take them with you to conventions. I know there is a terrific store in the Northwest called Pink Gorilla, and they sell, I forget what they call it, but it's a set basically that you can open up cartridges if you are at a show to be able to tell a real cartridge from a counterfeit. And unfortunately, there are people out there who are doing unscrupulous things, selling counterfeits as legit, and you want to make sure, I mean, especially if you're going to drop $300, $400, $500 on a game, and that's getting more and more common now, you want to make sure that what you are spending your money on is worth $300, $400, $500. So,
Original hardware.
yep.
Well, cool.
All right.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody, let's give it up for Gary and Adam. Good job. Thank you guys so much for coming on the bonus stage. It's been a pleasure.
Our pleasure
And
being here.
let's
Very
go
informative.
Brewers.
And yes, let's go Brewers.
Bucks and 6.
I was slightly offended by the non-Packer fan comment, but you know what? We'll allow it.
I was
we
a
have
child of the
editing
80s. Lynn Dickey, Bart Starr.
software. Okay.
I actually caddied for Randy Wright at the Lombardi Golf Tournament
What?
at North Hills Country Club, and he stiffed me on a tip.
And ever since then,
It just doubled down. It's like, yeah, I don't need to have the Packers in my house there, don't you know, there.
all right. Well, on that note, thank you again, gentlemen, and thanks for attending a bonus stage. And we will be back at 3 o'clock with another neat panel. We'll be talking about board games with Jamie Phillip, and don't miss it. Keep it locked in. Hair of the Dogcast, available on podcast services everywhere. Gentlemen, have a good one. See you next time.